Yes, welcome into Foxboro Rush. I'm George Balekji. He's Travis Thomas. T, how we doing today, my man?
Yeah. Hey, remember Raise the Roof from back in the day? I'm bringing it back, baby.
I was born in 94. When was Raise
They were raising the roof back then. Come on.
You guys caught me looking down at my phone, just getting our notes ready. But today we got a packed show for y'all. We start with Drake Maye numbers to break down. ESPN has him starting 15 games, throwing 3,300 yards and 17 touchdowns. So we're going to find out how much Travis paid someone at ESPN to put those numbers up. Aaron Rodgers coming out with bold statements, owning that it's make or break for him with the Jets, not just to get it done, but a lot of people's jobs are on the line because of him, which I do love. And we take a look at who's the most complete team in the NFL. We get that done, and we'll rank the quarterbacks in the AFC East. But let's start with the ESPN numbers that Drake Maye has. They see him starting 15 games, Trav, throwing 3,378 yards and 17 touchdowns this season.
That sounds like a dream come true for me, George.
What is where are they getting these numbers? ESPN,
I don't know.
what are you doing?
Look,
He's not going to start the first 8 games of the season minimum.
I didn't pay anyone over there, first of all. If I did, it would have been exactly what I predict for him, which is he comes in week 8 after the London trip at home against your Jet. And so if my math serves me correct, which correct me if I'm wrong because it's atrocious usually, that's 10 games. And I think that's fair. And you and I even, I know you want him to play literally a handful of games.
4.
But to be fair, you have told me if my scenario is right, you can live with it as opposed to if he's a starter day one. ESPN essentially has him starting. I mean, it's like Jacoby plays a couple games and then in comes a kid. That's a little bit sooner than I would think. Obviously, the numbers reflect that. If ESPN is correct, which I don't think they are, this is a dream rookie season for Drake Maye. Now, they don't have interceptions on this, which is very interesting to me because I actually think all that matters, my personal opinion, whether it's 10 games, would you say 4 games, 5 games, whatevs, or the 15 that they talking about, touchdown to interception ratio is the key with this kid. Let me give you a point. George, right before I came to this lovely market, I was covering a team called the Washington Commanders. And it was prior to the draft when they took Sam Howell. And there was a lot of buzz at that time about, hey, maybe they should take Sam Howell if he's there late, which eventually happened. And so I was saying, as a college football junkie that I am, I had watched this kid, Sam Howell, at UNC his entire time there because he came in with a lot of hype. And I thought in the NFL, he would put up numbers, kind of Jay Cutler-ish. He would put up numbers, his stats would look good, and he would throw the most bonehead, asinine, ignorant interceptions you've ever seen in your life.
And you were spot on.
Guess what happened? I got the numbers here, my friend, since we're talking numbers with the ESPN thing. 63 completion percentage, 3,900 yards, 21 touchdowns.
Nice.
Right?
You would take that.
21 picks.
Yep.
There it is. Whoop, there it is. Touchdown interception ratio is all I care about. So if these are the numbers from Drake Maye that ESPN is projecting, cool. Where's the interceptions, bruh? Because if he's throwing 17 tutties and 17 to the other team, I don't love it. So I don't want 15 games from this kid. I think that's too premature. But I'm also not on your end of the spectrum where he plays for 5 minutes, a cup of Dunkin' and a Boston cream. Like, let the kid play. So I think my sweet spot, surprise, I think I'm right, is 10 games. Get him in there week 8 at home, coming back from London, and let him rip. But as far as numbers, the only ones I care about, George, to be clear, is touchdown to interception ratio.
Let's say he starts 15 games straight, right?
Yeah.
They would have him at the Jets first start, at San Fran second start, against the Dolphins, Texans, and then in London against Jacksonville.
That's tough.
No, that's not going to happen. The 15 games, that's what blows my mind. Where did ESPN get this number? Is this someone sitting there that just doesn't check in at all and
clickbait.
Knows what Drake Maye's ceiling is? Yeah, that's what it would be to me. ESPN is so wrong by giving him 15 starts, 3,300 yards, and 17 touchdowns. Let's start with, and you're talking about what concerns you is touchdown interception ratio, which I agree. What concerns me is he's not going to be protected. He's not going to be healthy enough to play 15 games his rookie season with this offensive line. Remember, Chuck Okorafor said, yeah, I never had any idea I'd be looked at as a possible starting left tackle for this team when they were talking to him.
Right.
Cole Strange comes up. He's month to month, as Gerard Mayo put it. We don't know what the left side of that line looks like. All we know is who's at center and who's at right tackle, because if Sidney So swings to the left guard spot, then what is that? Antonio Mafia at right guard is a second-year pro. So that's why these numbers like boggle my mind, how they've come up. Now, if you look at FanDuel, the sportsbook, they have his over-under for passing yards, 2,650.5 passing yards. So if he starts your 10 games like you have him,
he can get that.
All right, yeah, 265 a game, maybe
Right.
270, and then that hits him on the over. That's not terrible. But these 3,300, 78 yards, 17 touchdowns this season is just like, what to me?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I don't think the situation is right for Drake Maye to make that happen. This offense is not set up for Drake Maye to play 15 games because you'll have a rookie that will get his ass kicked this rookie season, and he will regress in his development. The priority with Drake Maye is not wins and losses, is not making the playoffs, is not him. How many touchdowns can he play? How many tickets we can sell? I know that'll be for Robert Kraft. The priority with Drake Maye is development. Don't mess this kid up because his ceiling is limitless if you do it right. But if you rush him and play him for 15 games and he's getting his ass kicked out there and he can't learn the system and can't get his feet right, he's learning how to take snaps under center. He's learning how to retake shotgun snaps with his left foot forward. Literally, this is what he's doing.
Right.
You watch the footage of him at OTAs. Everything is footwork with his long legs, his dropbacks from under center. Working, going through the pads on the ground, and he's kicking them over, and that's fine. If they're doing it 70 times a day, I don't care. And I'm fine with him kicking the pad over. He's a project. I'll be patient. The Patriots have to be patient. ESPN with these numbers is just insane.
Well, I hate to, give you your flowers and your props when you're right, but, I brought up Sam Howell, right? Guess who his backup was? Jacoby Brissett. And Sam Howell, started the whole season with those numbers I just gave you. Obviously there's a regime change there. We understand that, but he is no longer with that organization, and he certainly isn't a starting quarterback in his new role with Seattle. He's a backup. So, to your point, again, different circumstances, different quarterbacks, even though they went to the same school. But the Commanders sort of threw Sam Howell to the wolves. It didn't go well, and now he's not there anymore. So I kind of look at this as obviously the Patriots spent a first-round pick on the kid. He's a franchise quarterback. They're going to pour their resources into him, and they should. So they're not going to jettison Drake Maye off. But at the same time, to your point, if he plays 15 games, I mean, what the hell? Now, let's entertain this. In what world does he play 15 games? For that to happen, George, we would have to see with thine eyes. I'm sure we'll go to camp. Hey, this kid looks electric. We'll hear the reports coming out of it. We'll talk about it on this program.
Yeah.
Then in the preseason, we have to see that translate. We have to see him in the preseason light it up. And we say, man, this kid can play. Because here's one thing that we're not talking about. They weren't in these numbers for the projections from ESPN. I didn't bring it up talking about the other kid, Sam Howell. Drake Maye can boogie, baby.
Yeah,
he can run.
He's athletic. He can do it.
I can see a world in which if he's in training camp, even with this bad offensive line, as you call it, if he is getting out and getting loose on people and putting defenders in a blender, and he's doing that in camp and he's doing that in the preseason, okay, maybe you entertain, I guess we'll play this kid because he's lighting the world on fire. But my guess is because of the developmental things that you just mentioned, we could get there eventually with him, but not immediately with him. So 15 games doesn't feel that realistic. But contraire mon frere, 10 games, I'm just telling you, George.
I don't hate it.
On the scale of what ESPN is talking about, which seems a little far-fetched to us, and then your scale of never playing this kid ever in life, I'm right in the middle. 10 games, week 8, bring it on, baby.
I hate that starting spot. Coming off a London game at home against the Jets,
Why
really
would you
good
hate that?
defense.
Why would you hate
Defense is
that?
playing. I want gimme games. I want get your confidence up.
They don't have gimme games on the schedule, George.
They do. They just don't have a great layout. At Tennessee, great, but then you're at Chicago. Then you're at Chicago, right?
And I don't want. Let's go back to the Titans for a second, because I hear you. You're looking for an easier defense, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. If the Tennessee game was at home, I would probably agree with you. My thing is this: your entire schedule is Murderer's Row. So at some point,
no easy stretch,
right? So you got to play them at some point. Kids got to learn, right? So I need him to make his career start, first career start, his debut at home. And that's where I'm going with that. Yeah, the Jets' defense is hellacious. Welcome to the NFL, bro. What do you think? You're going to play the Jets once in your lifetime? You're going to play them twice a year for the next decade.
Yeah.
So bring it on. And by then, I mean, we're talking week 8. You've had all the camp, all the preseason, half of the damn year. Trot him out there. Let's go.
So I'll go with, you said, how does he play 15 games?
Yeah.
That is, this kid comes out in training camp after his long break, reports back to New England in July, or, in fact, never leaves New England. Locks himself in his house, doesn't leave, goes to his backyard every day with painted lines of a 50-yard field and works the hell out of his footwork. So he shows up to training camp looking like a refined piece of quarterback meat. Perfect footwork, knowing how to take snaps under center, great out of the shotgun, just perfect, not relying all on his arm talent, but tying everything together, his feet to his eyes, to his arm, right? That's how he starts 15 games. If he comes out into training camp and he's undeniable that he is an NFL starter, that's the only way he plays 15 games. Well, actually, it's that. If he's undeniable as a starter from day one, combined with an offensive line that'll keep him healthy. That's the only way he plays these 15 games.
Bro, a fine piece of quarterback meat was crazy.
I started a sentence and I didn't know how I was going to finish it.
You wilding out.
That's how I act.
You want him sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber too while we're at it. He can't leave his house.
Wait, hold on. Yes.
What else are you going to add here?
I want every athlete sleeping in a hyperbaric. If I could afford it, I would sleep in a hyperbaric chamber. Are you kidding me? I'm all about recovery, man.
All right, man.
You should have seen me. I was in a massage chair for 20 minutes today, the Normatec boots, and then I went red light therapy. That's what Thursdays are for me now. And Fridays.
You and I, we're so tight. We're brothers from another mother, but we couldn't be so different in some things. You know what I do? Rub some dirt on it. Let's go.
Well,
Let's ball.
How many games you have him starting? 10.
10.
Let's say if he starts 10 games, what's the stat line you see Drake Maye?
I don't know. I don't care about that stuff. What I care about is
don't
touchdown.
Give me this, I don't know.
No, seriously.
You'd put me on the spot.
Touchdown to interception ratio.
That's all
I care about. I need more touchdowns and interceptions. It's that simple. And I also want the rushing aspect of Drake Maye. Like, some of what you're saying, I agree with. He does need to clean up the footwork. He does need to be more refined. No problem. But I also don't want him to change who he is. Like, this kid can run. Mm-hmm. I watch, just like I was talking about how I watched every snap of Sam Howell, I watched every snap of Drake Maye at UNC. I lost money betting on both of those guys. Mm-hmm. But Drake Maye, at least, didn't throw boneheaded interceptions. And because of that, I have more faith in him as an NFL prospect. Mm-hmm. I don't get caught up in all the projections of numbers. I don't care about that. I care about, are you throwing more touchdowns as it pertains to your interceptions? That's all that matters to me. If they're even or he's throwing more picks, it ain't going to work, and it tells me he's not ready.
Okay.
I also need to see, when I bring up him running, some of that is him and his gifts, but a lot of it is this creative play calling. Is this offense going to be
It's going to be
vanilla?
training wheels, man.
Well, that's not going to work.
With
that's
this
what I'm
receiving
saying.
core.
So here's where we do agree. Okay, forget the numbers. Here's where we agree in terms of philosophy. If we're going to play a vanilla offense with Drake Maye, because you're going to do it with Jacoby Brissett based on his gifts. He is limited with what he can do. He's a pocket guy. Mm-hmm. No problem. But if you're going to run the same damn offense with Drake Maye that you do with Jacoby Brissett, I'd rather him just redshirt this year and not play at all. How's that sound? Because you're taking away one of the reasons why he's a franchise quarterback, we think.
Yeah.
I need creativity in the offensive play calling so I can see those aspects, those traits that Drake Maye brings to the table. That's why I don't care as much about the yards passing and all that stuff. Touchdown, interception ratio. That's all that matters.
Well, this offense, we'll see. It'll be what you saw from the Cleveland Browns last year because, remember, Alex Van Pelt
That's right.
is your offensive coordinator. Now, I don't attribute Deshaun Watson's struggles to Alex Van Pelt because, of course, Watson went over 700 days between playing football by the time he got to Cleveland. But he did keep that offense afloat with Joe Flacco at quarterback and got them to the playoffs and had them winning a playoff game.
Right.
Losing his top 3 offensive tackles, losing his running back. But keep in mind, Kevin Stefanski was calling the plays. For me to throw that on you, this is what his stat line will be his rookie year.
Okay.
1,300 passing yards.
Oh.
I knew that was coming.
Oh.
1,300 passing yards. And I will give him about... That's too much. I'll give him 11 touchdowns.
That's too much. What are you going to say, 14?
No, I was thinking 12. I'll give him 11 touchdowns. Because I'm thinking over 5 games, what is he going to do? And he's going to have that give or take 1 touchdown game. Then it'll be the dazzling 4 touchdown
Bro,
game.
You stingy
There'll be the
as hell.
goose egg.
You are stingy, dog.
11 touchdowns. And he's going to have growing pains, 7 interceptions. But it's going to be him catching his licks. Now, if he starts 10 games, you know what I give him? You'll like this, Trav.
Now we're talking.
22 touchdowns.
All right.
In 10 games.
All right.
So that's, just a little more than 2
You're
per
going to
start.
give me a lot of picks, so I feel it.
14.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's a really good rookie season.
All right, look at us. We're agreeing.
That's a good rookie season.
You know what that is? That is also, as I have the NFL numbers in front of me, that's 1 touchdown better than Trevor Lawrence this past season.
Trevor Lawrence has regressed.
Yeah, I mean, he was banged up end of the year. No offensive line.
He's always banged up. It's always something with him. Yeah. He's regressed.
Speaking of quarterbacks that are always banged up, your favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, had a very interesting soundbite from his OTAs with the New York Jets. If you remember, Rodgers came out, was the savior in New York, brought Alan Lazard, Tim Boyle with him, Nathaniel Hackett, and then got injured 4 snaps into the season, and the whole thing went to waste. But here's Aaron Rodgers speaking at OTAs about the pressure he has on his shoulders this year for the Jets. Check it out.
If I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, we're all probably going to be out of here. So I like that kind of pressure, though. I know there's, it's a tough market to play in. It's not for everybody. I relish that opportunity. And that's the way the NFL is. I'm not saying anything monumental as you guys are typing away and putting your tweets out. This is how it is every single year. You might not say it, but as you get older in the league, if you don't perform, they're going to get rid of you or bring in the next guy to take over. I mean, it happened in Green Bay. So, and I'm, a few years older than I was back then. So,
yeah, he's right. Everything he said is right, George. I mean, people are going to get fired. He's older than he was in Green Bay. And guess what he looked at the end in Green Bay? Old. So it's like, listen, I don't like this guy. I think we can I think that's been established on this program. However, I mean, I agree with everything he said. The Jets, but they knew that. They put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. Fine. I get it. He's a Hall of Famer. You're a loser franchise. But this guy, at the end, no one ever talks about this. I'm the only one that brings this up, and I bet you Packers fans are talking about it on their sports talk radio.
No,
or they
not.
were.
They're soft there.
Now they love Jordan Love, but they were, which is Rodgers at the end had a golden opportunity with all the stuff that he was for many off seasons, a pain in the arse. In the end, his last season, all he had to do in prime time, remember this, George, it was like a Sunday night football game. Win and you're in.
Yep.
Against a division rival at that in the Lions, who were upstart at the time. And he couldn't do it. And all I heard was excuses. Well, his wide receivers are young. Look at them now, stars. Well, Matt LaFleur,
they progressed, they
look
developed.
at them now. I mean, they put Jordan Love in, boom, all of a sudden everything was humming. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers shouldered enough of the blame there. I remember watching that and thinking, I don't give a damn where he goes. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers. He ends up in New York. They have this great roster. The roster didn't get great overnight, George. It was great when he got there.
Yep.
Then he gets hurt. A major devastating injury at that and an Achilles at his age, a guy that moves, please. I think it's over. I think he's washed. This isn't going to work. It's going to go down in flames, and he's right. Everyone's going to get fired, and he will be gone, and so will that entire front office and head coaching staff.
You know how he can help himself and help the Jets out from not firing everyone.
How?
Let them fire Nathaniel Hackett. He should have done that, but he's not going to. Right?
Right.
Now, I would like to say that bite from Rodgers, this is what you get. It's the ebbs and flows of Aaron Rodgers. I spent 2 seasons covering the Packers in Green Bay.
Yep.
One was Matt LaFleur's first season. The second was an MVP year from Aaron Rodgers. And when I was there, I saw the guy throw 85 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Look absolutely insane when he was there.
Yep.
But year 1 was him learning LaFleur's system. Year 2 is him perfecting it with Devontae Adams. By the time I got here, that was the end of the Rodgers era. But what you hear in Aaron Rodgers there, it's people laughing like, oh, he's right. Like, he's owning it, self-aware. Aaron Rodgers thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He is a really sharp dude. Goes in, knows how to run or own a press conference, knows how to do all that. So we're hearing that from Aaron Rodgers, and he's going, if I don't play well, everyone's getting fired. Headlines get it. Aaron Rodgers, self-aware, owning it, accountability.
Right.
Yeah, just wait till week 14, 15. And if they're not in the playoff picture, it'll be a complete 180 on this one,
Of course.
Him blaming the media, him blaming everyone around him.
Of course.
What he can do to help himself out and help the New York Jets out is let them fire Nathaniel Hackett. Don't force them to sign Alan Lazard to $11 million a year, an awful contract they can't get out of. They cut Tim Boyle. They brought in Tyrod Taylor. They're like, hey, this is a quarterback room we actually need. Someone we can trust as a backup to get things done.
Solid backup.
Aaron Rodgers can help the Jets from clearing the whole room and everyone from Joe Douglas to Robert Saleh to the entire coaching staff by stepping in, playing football, giving his input of, I like this receiver, let's bring him in. Let's bring in a Randall Cobb to teach these guys how to get along, right? How to develop these younger receivers in a Garrett Wilson, in a Mike Williams, right? In a Malachi Corley. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But not just bring your buddies in and have it not mesh with the system and a Nathaniel Hackett again. So I love that bite from Aaron Rodgers. If I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, we're all going to be out of here. Yeah, he's right. And if you look at his contract's constructed, and we look at what happened with Russell Wilson, teams will eat $85 million to tell you to go away because you haven't worked.
What's his contract? I thought he signed a 2-year deal, and he got hurt the first year.
Do it on the
so
fly.
in my head, while you look that up, in my head, tell me if I'm right, he signed a 2-year deal. Last year, we know he got hurt, and then I think this year would be the last year of that deal, I would think.
So he's in a 3-year, $150 million deal.
Okay. It's 2 guaranteed or something?
He's going to make about $38 million, but if they cut him, the dead cap is $66 million.
So all 3 guaranteed.
They'll pay him almost $30 million, yeah.
Oh.
Now, next year, $37 million, dead cap $49. So they would pay $12 million to tell him to go away. So that's what it comes down to. So it's not a where he says, well, I'll be out of here. It's also, no, they're not. Everyone above you will be out of there, Aaron. You'll still be there.
He'll still be there.
And they'll be hitting reset again.
They'll draft some kid, and then Aaron Rodgers will teach him all the bad things to do. Fantastic. And it just keeps on giving. I mean, this guy, listen, I get it. Again, I don't want to criticize the Jets here because I do understand why they made the move. The roster is fantastic. They quite frankly are a quarterback away. I personally am not sure about the head coach. It's not because I don't think he could be good. I just don't know if he's had a functional offense. Now, some of that you could shoulder the blame on Saleh, but I won't put it all on him. But Rodgers is not – I just don't think at this stage of his career – I don't think he can get it done anymore. I really don't. That's what it comes down to for me. It's not anti-Jets. But I tell you this, we're going to know pretty quickly, George, because all their games – we were talking about the Patriots' schedule. Their schedule's hellacious, and all those games are primetime. So we're going to know right away.
Now, Robert Saleh said that Aaron Rodgers is doing everything, as in he has no limitations coming off that Achilles. So it sounds like he'll be ready, and this will be with a better offensive line that's deeper, added weapons in the offseason, and you know what this defense brings. So what are you thinking for Aaron Rodgers, his second season with the Jets?
Failure.
Why? Are you going to say it's another exploded Achilles?
No, I think that's part of it. I think coming off that, I'll use an example. There's another high-profile quarterback coming off that same injury. You know where I'm going.
Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins moves in the pocket, but he doesn't really move. He's a traditional pocket guy. Mm-hmm. If he moves around, it's within the pocket to buy time to throw the ball. Aaron Rodgers is no Lamar Jackson, I'll give you that. But Aaron Rodgers at his best
is the best in football.
He throws on the run.
Yeah.
Like he throws on the run, as in physically running. Even when Rodgers has a clean pocket, he'll move. I'm concerned there. The other thing, again, and maybe I should bring up the numbers here, going back to that last year in Green Bay. I don't, if memory serves me correctly, his numbers weren't terrible. But in the moments you needed them down the stretch, they were a mess.
That final game against the Lions, you go to the playoff game the year before when they were in it, the loss to the 49ers in the snow.
So what does that tell
home.
you? That's age. That's mileage. That's
Rodgers
attrition.
has struggled in the playoffs throughout his career, man. He's had that bugaboo about him. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl, but he struggled throughout the playoffs. So I give you that there.
I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to work, George. And they've done everything right. They've surrounded him with everything necessary to win. This is all about him. I just don't believe in him at this point of his career. That's it.
I'm complete opposite. I think it works for him this season. I think it's one more go. Now, given you're right, he makes his throws on the move, and he's athletic enough to make plays. Can he do it coming off a torn Achilles? But this is something that happened really early, literally a few snaps into last season.
Right.
Was intentional with his rehab, going to California, doing it out there, going to Jets games on Saturdays, Sundays, but keep going back. I think it's a guy, the way that he attacked his rehab, and if he's moving and doing everything right now, I think it pays off for him with a better offensive line. And what we read too, last offseason, he was running the offense pretty much for Nathaniel Hackett. So
Hackett, I'm with you. There we agree. Hackett needs to go.
That's what he has to overcome.
Here's his last year with Green Bay. Tell me, let's say he does this with the Jets. Tell me what the final result of the Jets season is if he puts this up, okay? 65% completion percentage, 3,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 picks. That's a 91 rating. That's not prime Rodgers by any stretch.
Yeah.
But if he does that with the Jets, to your point, that's a good season for them. I guess that's where I'm at. I don't believe he can do that.
I don't need the 37-4 guy from his second to last season.
Those are gone. Those days are done.
It's tough for me to say with the receivers he has and the talent and his ability. I'm not saying you're getting peak Aaron Rodgers, but that's a guy that can still throw the hell out of the football. And when he is on his game, he is top 2, not 2 at the quarterback position in the NFL.
Ooh.
So if this is a guy that gets you 30 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and that defense will win him games, and now you have a deeper backfield.
That's a hell of a year, man.
Yeah, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis making up your backfield. Yeah, it's 2 rookie backs, but okay, that's better than Dalvin Cook. I can't say it enough, Trav.
Yeah.
A better offensive line.
No
because
doubt.
you get Tyron Smith from the Cowboys, who's old. But you have Olu Fashanu, who could play right or left tackle, and is an athletic freak with a massive ceiling.
There's no excuses, right?
Exactly. And that's why I think my expectations for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets is the playoffs, and they can get in and win a game.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a success, and that buys him and Robert Saleh one more year. But they need to get the Nathaniel Hackett's out of there.
That's where we do agree on all of that, including the Hackett stuff. Where we disagree is on the level of success. It's completely predicated on you believe he still has a lot in the tank, it sounds like. With those numbers you're projecting, I mean, that's not prime Rodgers, but it's, boy, is he not Benjamin Button. Like, he's in the fountain of youth. He's swimming all in the fountain of youth. In your scenario, I'm looking at grumpy old man who's losing his skis, yelling at clouds, talking about conspiracy theories on shrooms. Like, we just see him differently. That's really what it is. But we agree on the forecast of what is around him. We definitely agree on that with the talent, the line, the receivers, the running game, the defense. We both are like Saleh and are willing to give him more of a chance. We both want Hackett out of the NFL. Forget New York. Just get him out of here. We want Hackett gone. We do agree on all that, and we agree that there's no excuses. Where we disconnect, my friend, I am out. I sold my stock on this guy a long time ago, and you have doubled down. You got a 401k in Aaron Rodgers.
Hey,
good luck with that.
Year 1, Matt LaFleur's system, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, got them to the playoffs. That's all you need. That's all you need from this guy. All right. So, I hope you can separate the art from the artist. But how do you rank the AFC quarterbacks this season?
AFC?
1 through 4.
AFC East?
AFC East quarterbacks coming into this season. How I rank them, I'll give you mine first.
Okay.
Josh Allen is 1.
All right.
Clearly.
Yeah.
What he does with his legs, with his arm, his ceiling, and even with a completely revamped receiving core that he doesn't want, he's number 1. Number 2 is Aaron Rodgers, and I'm projecting him to come back and be good.
Yes, you
coming
are.
off an Achilles. And Rodgers at good is better than the other 2 quarterbacks in this division at great.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Tua Tagovailoa. Now, given when he is great in Mike McDaniel's system, man, he's on, but he can't beat a good team. And then number 4 is Jacoby Brissett / Drake Maye. Because Drake Maye is either a rookie trying to learn the game, revamping his footwork, and that is a project, or Jacoby Brissett, who is Jacoby Brissett, who will get you 15 touchdown passes at best, and then maybe you're hoping not more, double-digit interceptions. So 1, I have Josh Allen. 2, I have Aaron Rodgers. I see you taking your notes and thinking.
Yeah.
3 is Tua Tagovailoa, and it is 1, 2, 3. 4 isn't even on our screen for those watching at home.
Okay.
Who's your 1?
Let's go where we agree and disagree right off the top here. Josh Allen's 1. There's no discussion.
Like that?
Let's not
that.
waste time.
Nice.
I also agree with you that your direct quote, which is why I took notes, so you can't say I didn't say that. You said, quote, when Aaron Rodgers is good, he is better than Tua's best.
Mm-hmm.
Agree with that. I disagree with you having Jacoby Brissett anywhere near this conversation. Like, what are you doing? Just put Drake Maye. Don't even bring up Jacoby
He will be
Brissett.
a star. I'm not gonna talk about a quarterback that won't play until week 14.
Brissett and Drake Maye, right? Jacoby Brissett doesn't belong in this conversation. So you just put N.A.
All right, Drake May's better than Jacoby,
Maye.
but Drake May's a 4th best quarterback in this division.
Okay. Again, we agree there. But let's get Jacoby out of here.
Look at what you do to me.
So I'm going Tua over Rodgers.
What?
Here's why.
What?
I'm using your quote, my friend. We're in the court right now, baby. You can't handle the truth. Listen, you said, quote, Aaron Rodgers, a good Aaron Rodgers, is better than a great Tua.
Yes.
End quote.
Yes.
And I agree. We're getting a bad Aaron Rodgers this season, my friend.
Dude.
Now hold on.
Oh, my God.
I'm not ready for the defense to rest.
If it was a winning football
Your
team,
Honor.
if it was a team with a winning record,
Objection.
Tua forgot how to play football.
Objection, Your Honor.
And the drop-off in his numbers were terrible. And you can't throw playoffs in my face because Aaron Rodgers sucks in the
I'm
playoffs,
not throwing them in your
and so
face.
does Tua Tagovailoa.
I'm not throwing them in your face.
The defense rests their case. Carry on.
I'm gonna take a page out of your playbook here because you're a numbers dude, right?
Yeah.
So I already gave you the numbers for Rodgers his last year with Green Bay, which we have to go by because that's the last damn time the guy played a full season, right? Mm-hmm. Tua last season, his numbers were better than the last time we saw Aaron Rodgers. Tua, 70% completion percentage,
nice,
4,600 yards,
nice,
29 touchdowns,
great,
14 picks,
great,
101 rating.
Nice.
So I'm not bringing up playoffs. I'm not bringing up any of that stuff because I agree with you. If Rodgers is in the playoffs, even though his track record lately hasn't been great, I'd much rather have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I just don't believe we're going to get the same Aaron Rodgers that you think we're going to get. Thus, I will take those numbers from Tua Tagovailoa. I will take the system because I know where you're going to go. It's not him. It's the system.
Yep.
And how can I argue that? Because we saw him without the system, and it was atrocious.
Cool.
He is a system guy, no problem. But the question is, rank the quarterbacks in the division. Mm-hmm. Right now, today, as we sit here, I would take Tua over Aaron Rodgers because I think Rodgers is washed. Mm-hmm. I think he's cooked.
Okay.
Like a hot pocket. The defense rests, Your Honor. No further questions.
So read me Tua's numbers one more time, please.
Tua's?
Yeah.
69% completion percentage, 4,600. Cool. 29 touchdowns, 14 picks, 101 rating.
Sweet. Aaron Rodgers in the same exact system. I'll give him his first year, 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Second year, 4,300 yards, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Third year, 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And I'll give you the final year, his worst year, 3,600, 26 and 12. Smarter with the football, better thrower. And I get it. Coming off an Achilles. But this is the perfect argument of I'm talking quarterbacks, and if you swap their places, Tua Tagovailoa working with a Nathaniel Hackett would turn into a puddle. Aaron Rodgers working with Mike McDaniel and those receivers. Now, he has great receivers in New York. We just didn't get to see it. But his final year in that system with the Green Bay Packers, where he looked terrible, again, that was such a young receiving core. And Devontae Adams not there, and so many guys gone, right? Mm-hmm. Rodgers at his good is better than Tua at his best. And I give credit to Tua because he can go out and he can execute in Mike McDaniel's system, and he knows how to make his reads and make the plays. But when it comes to cold weather or the playoffs or a good team opposite of him, completely disappears.
No doubt. You know what you get, though, with Tua? When he goes up to the podium, win or loss, professional,
accountability.
Grown up. Hey, you know what? It's on me. Hey, my teammates, I love them. I love God. I mean, the guy's great. Aaron Rodgers, you know what you get? Conspiracy theories, tinfoil hats.
You get no
shrooms,
accountability from him.
Darkness retreats.
Yeah.
Like what? Like, bro, I'd rather have Tua right now.
I get it, but I don't. I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers. I understand where you're coming from. No,
Yeah.
I'm hearing you out on this, and I get it. And we agree to disagree, but I would just rather have Aaron Rodgers because Tua forgets how to play football. Aaron Rodgers last year in that system, and then I'll move on. I swear to gosh. Jaden Reed, Romeo Dubs. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong year. Oh. Great podcasting here, folks.
I think he had Dubs and Watson. He had the same guys they have. Jordan Love looked pretty good with them.
Romeo
figure.
Dubs, Christian Watson as rookies. Alan Lazard, he turned him into an $11 million man. Robert Tonyan at tight end, and Randall Cobb all washed up. So that's who he was playing with. Tua Tagovailoa,
those young receivers look pretty good with Jordan Love.
Jaden Waddle, and all that. All right, so NFL.com, Trav, I like this one. They ranked the top 10 most complete teams this season.
Okay.
49ers 1, Ravens 2, Chiefs 3, Lions 4, Eagles 5, Bengals 6, Texans 7th, Packers 8th, Cleveland Browns 9th, which is nuts. Swear to God, they made up this. I did not. New York Jets 10th.
What do you mean Browns is nuts?
It's the Cleveland Browns. I'm still used to it.
You don't. We'll start at 9. You don't like that? They shouldn't be in the top 10.
Roster. That defense. They should have just. It's the fact that the Browns are top. Number 9
in anything.
But they got Deshaun Watson. That's all it is. I'm being a hater on the Browns.
Listen, I'd move them up.
I have a few teams I'd move up.
Let's talk about it. I'll start with the Browns. Deshaun Watson. I mean, what else can we say, right? Like, the guy's a mess. Now he's hurt. But outside of that, and in theory, Deshaun Watson should be a high-level NFL quarterback.
I don't get it, man.
But he has not looked the same since he's come back. Now he's hurt, and he seems to be injury-prone to me. But outside of that, I mean, they have everything. I know Nick Chubb's coming back from injury, but running back, Jerome Ford has proven he's capable. Wide receivers, remember they added Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper's there, Njoku at tight end. Elijah Moore is there now. Their offensive line, and then you said it, that defense. And Stefanski, in my opinion, is one of the best play callers in the league. I think the Browns roster, I mean, you want to talk about being a quarterback away like you talk about the Jets. My God, they thought they got the right guy. It looks like they didn't, but that team's a quarterback away. I would move the Browns up.
So mine is the Packers at 8 is a complete disservice and injustice to them. I would put the Green Bay Packers at 5. I would leap them above the Texans, Bengals, and Eagles to that 5 spot. Because they have Jordan Love at quarterback, who the last 8 games of last season, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception, looked like an MVP, locked into Matt LaFleur's system, and was untouchable. Christian Watson coming along, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed as well, all those receivers, and Romeo Dubs.
Yep.
Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft. Now they add Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney as a safety. But then look at their defense. Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, who will make that sophomore jump. This is a team that got into the playoffs, won a game they shouldn't have in Dallas, not an easy place to play at all, and ended the season on such a high note and it upgraded their roster right away in the draft with a few picks they had. Went out in free agency, assessed their need at safety. Upgraded at defensive coordinator, getting Jeff Hafley, who has coached at the NFL level. But to me, it all comes around Jordan Love and what he did in that system and that offensive line, keeping them upright. Another year with all these receivers with him and increasing his chemistry. The Packers are a top 5 roster in the NFL.
Yeah.
I have them above the Texans and CJ Stroud, who's great, but still have a ton to prove, offensive line-wise, running game, and on that defense. The Bengals, it's tough, man. That defense looked bad last year. And the Eagles, because I'm saying most complete team, I'm taking coordinators into account.
Yeah.
The Eagles had to revamp. They're about to have their third OC and DC in the last 3 seasons as well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it took the whole show, but we do agree on all those. I agree with you on all those. No pushback from me. Here's one that's up high on the list that I would actually move down. The Chiefs at 3, and I get it, like it's a Super Bowl champ, right?
I'm
but
opposite.
outside of Mahomes and Kelsey, what are we talking about now? The defense was stout, But offensively, I think they're a mess. And really, all year they looked a mess. And then how about Rashee Rice, who finally came on and was their big playmaker? Now this idiot-faced idiot goes out and has an offseason. Now he's a longest yard all-star. Like he's going to be suspended.
Yeah.
So I would move the Chiefs down. Again, we understand all-timers in Mahomes and Kelsey. Because of that, you belong on the list. It doesn't matter. You could have George and I on your damn offense. If you got those two, you're going to be fine. So they should be top 10 forever and ever till both of them retire or they part. But number 3, please. I mean, all the teams you just named roster is better. I think the Lions roster is better.
I would move the Lions up.
I would move them way down. I would.
I would put the Lions at 3.
Yeah. Facts.
Ravens is tough too, man. They lost a lot.
Yeah.
But that defense is still great. The Chiefs lost to Jarius Sneed, and let's not ask that's an easy thing to cover up. Like, that's one of the best corners in the game.
Right.
Titans kind of sneaky. Maybe it's a good roster. They're probably going to beat the Patriots now. We'll address that another day. But the Lions, with locking up Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, you had David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch. Gibbs, Laporta, Branch, by the way, all rookies last season, all immediate contributors and high-impact players.
Right.
Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Terrion Arnold. They went out and got a corner. They addressed defense because that was their biggest issue. I'd put the Lions at 3.
Yeah, I agree.
So what I would switch is Lions at 3. I guess I'd bump the Chiefs down to 4. I'd put the Packers up to 5. That bumps the Eagles, Bengals, Texans down. You can't disagree with the 49ers at 1, though.
No.
Even though they lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs.
Yeah. I also wonder, too, like, I hear you on the Ravens, and this is going to sound disrespectful. I don't mean it that way. But I wonder, like, they kind of feel system to me. Like what we were talking about with the Dolphins almost. Like, obviously Lamar is special, but they just plug and play. I remember when they lost Hollywood Brown, and everyone was like, oh, no, they don't have any receivers. It didn't even matter. Like, Lamar went out and won the MVP. Like, they just feel very systemic to me. Like, they just plug and play guys. They're productive.
Yeah.
And they just keep on churning. And the world sort of revolves around Lamar, right? As long as you have him, you're in good shape. So I hear you on them, but some of me just thinks it's the system. Like, it doesn't matter. As long as they have number 8, they're going to be just fine. And that's why I don't really have a problem with them at 2, but I do hear you. By the way, if you move the Lions up to 2, I wouldn't have a problem. Honestly, I think the Lions roster is so good. And with them going as far as they did last season, for that franchise, that loser mentality franchise, I would not be shocked if the Lions are in the Super Bowl this season.
Wow.
Because they can now they know what it takes, right? That now they got their quarterback wrapped up.
Yep.
They have
got
some
the
inertia.
Defense better. Can you get stops?
They have
the
some
offense
momentum.
is going to show up.
They have momentum, brother.
Can you execute? And it's again, man. I know it's like redundant. I know there's the numbers, but like when you jump out to that lead against the 49ers and they are just coming back at you, about to tie the game, and all you need is a field goal just to get points.
That's right.
And get some feeling of relief, and you don't, and you go with the ridiculous play call on 4th down. It's just, if they kick those field goals, they get into the Super Bowl, and who knows what they do against the Chiefs.
You got to learn. You got to grow
the Chiefs
from
feel
that.
Inevitable.
You got to learn from that, right?
I can't disagree with the 49ers being 1, though, because Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Trent Williams. I just named 6 potential all-pro guys on their offense.
Hey, let's see how that roster looks after they pay Brock Purdy.
Fred Warner. Remember, they lost Hufanga, their safety, to torn ACL. They lost Dre Greenlaw in the Super Bowl, and the entire defensive game for them and approach changed once Greenlaw went down, just tearing his Achilles coming off the sideline.
That's right.
I can't disagree with the 49ers. Brock Purdy, a full offseason with the confidence, with the buy-in from his team and his coaching staff. 49ers have the best roster. They should win the Super Bowl. It would be an awesome Super Bowl if it could happen, but it just feels like that's going to be the NFC Championship game again, Lions, 49ers.
Here's what we learned from this wonderful episode of Foxboro Rush.
Oh, God.
Aaron Rodgers is a loser, baby. He's a loser, baby.
I can't wait to see the numbers Rodgers puts up this season. We will revisit. We'll bookmark this conversation. And we're in Foxboro Rush, episode 5,621. Week 14 of the 2024 season. And Rodgers is once again looking like an MVP. And Tua is a pumpkin. We'll remember this, Trev.
My nightmare.
Thank you so much for listening to Foxboro Rush, making us a part of your day. For Travis Thomas and George Balekji, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Same place, same time.